If you're planning to defer your Canadian pension plan, your CPP, till age 70 or somewhere close to that, and you end up passing away earlier before you start taking your Canadian pension plan, what happens to it? And how does it affect your spouse or common law partner and the rest of their retirement? Well, in this video, I'm going to break it down and actually show you an example in Snap Projections, the software that we use, to show you what would happen to a 60-year-old couple that plans to defer Canadian pension plan till age 70, but one of them passes away at age 67. What happens to the Canadian pension plan? Was it still a good decision to defer their Canadian pension plan till 70? And how all the numbers break down. So let's jump into it. So here we have a 60-year-old couple, John and Andrea YouTube, which I've been on the channel here before. And you can see under their government benefits, this is what I want to focus on here. So don't worry about the RSP meltdown and all that here. But part of the planning process here is, let's take our old age security at 65, but let's take the Canadian pension plan at 70 for both of them, so they get a larger amount. Now we've based the Canadian pension plan on 75% of the max. So if we go into their government benefits, you'll see here, we put it at age 70, 75% of the max for both John and for Andrea. So they have the same amount. Again, old age security starting at age 65. So if they went through this retirement plan, we can see a combined total benefit after tax in their pocket of $66,480. And you can see we've mapped this out to age 95, and some people want to be knocked off at 90 or whatever. But for this scenario, we want to give longevity, because that's the concern. If one of the spouses passes away, is the other one going to be okay? So here you have it. Age 60, defer Canadian pension plan till 70. They're going to have $66,480 after tax in their pocket, adjusted to inflation for the rest of their life. This is the number one question that we get from clients of saying, yeah, the RSP meltdown, delaying CPP, I get it, Adam. I get more money in my pocket, but my main concern is if I wait till 70 and I die at 65, 67, somewhere in between there, then I'm losing out. I could have been collecting it, putting money in my pocket, helping out my family. I'm putting myself and my family, spouse, common law partner in a worse off position. And that's not always and not typically the case, which I'll break down here in a second. But again, these are things you want to kind of go through with your financial planner to see, okay, if I do defer it or if I do this in my plan, how does it affect it if things change? And again, we have to use life expectancy, which is mid to late 80s for a 60-year-old couple. But we also have to look at, like, what are those concerns? What are things that keep you up in the middle of the night? And we want to address that within the retirement planning process. Before we get any further in the video, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button. We release 2 brand new videos every week around tax, retirement, and estate planning for Canadians. So here we have the same scenario again, John and Andrea, and you can see at age 67, John has passed away. They have not started the Canadian pension plan yet, but John passed away before he began the Canadian pension plan. Now again, they were living on their $66,480, so I've left that the same all the way down to age 67. Under the government benefits here, you'll see there's a new column called CPP, Survivor Pension, meaning that when John passed away, Andrea started collecting for age 68, 69, the few years before she started her CPP. She's going to start collecting a survivor pension. Now, she'll collect that for 2 years. She'll continue to defer her CPP till 70. And when she starts her CPP, the survivor benefit drops a little bit, but there is still a survivor pension there as well. So, and you'll see she's collecting both CPP and survivor pension ongoing. Now, from age 68 onward for Andrea, because she's lost John's, CPP, old age security, income splitting, all that stuff that I've covered in other videos, you can see her income drops to $42,889. Now, because she's in the go-go years still, I'd probably try and ramp that up closer to 45, give her a bit more money now, a bit less later, and kind of walk her through that scenario. But again, there is a drop. So 66,480 goes down to 42,889. So now what we want to look at is, well, what happens if they had actually just started their Canadian pension plan earlier? John passed away, but what would those numbers look like? Like, would they have been better off with John passing away earlier, which of course we never know, but would they have been better off actually starting a Canadian pension plan at, say, 65? So to start with, the first thing we have to look at is if we start their Canadian pension plan here at age 65, so old age security and the Canadian pension plan both starting at 65, and we want to keep that income the same, 66,480, just to compare an apples to apples, because we want to be able to give them that same amount of income that they need. You'll see here as I scroll down, we hit red bars pretty quick. At about age 88, they start running out of money. So essentially, if they were in need of $66,480 every single year, and they started their Canadian pension plan at age 65, there would be a shortfall in the plan. So deferring their CPP allowed them more money earlier, which got them through to age 95 within their original plan. So here's one kind of flaw in the system, in that they need to die by age 87 or else they'd have no money left. They'd only be able to live off their Canadian pension plan and old age security. Now again, in this case scenario, had they started CPP at 65 and John passes away at 67, would they have been better off? So looking at the same scenario again, John has now passed away at age 67. They started, both of them, their Canadian pension plan at age 65. And you can see at 68 onward, there is that survivor benefit. They're collecting their CPP. But the key data point here I want to focus on is that real income, which is $41,788. So had they started their Canadian pension plan at age 65, John passes away a couple years later, would they have been better off? And the answer is no, they wouldn't have. In fact, they would have over $1,000 less. Andrea would be left with $1,000 after tax, adjusted to inflation every single year for the rest of her life. So even though they hadn't started the Canadian pension plan when John passed away, they were still better off waiting till 70 to take their Canadian pension plan. Now we have a new really cool comparison tool here in STAP, and I want to show you the difference. Now there's a lot of numbers here, we'll highlight them, but you can see that the total lifetime expenses here, which is really your income. Expenses is your income. So you can see in the November 1st, number 2 early death, that is deferring your CPP till 70, versus the other option is 2.543 or $53,000 difference, which means that in nominal dollars, you're going to collect $53,000 less by taking your Canadian pension plan at age 65. That's a big difference. Now that goes out to age 95. So let's say, okay, well, what happens if we go to age 88 only? You can see that their lifetime expenses still $36,000. So even if you had deferred till 70, one spouse passed away at age 65, you're still $36,000 ahead at age 88 or life expectancy. So you can break this down with a bunch of different numbers, but the end result shows that waiting till 70 makes a whole lot of sense, even if you pass away before taking it. So for many of you, and I want to say millions of you that have this question of, okay, yeah, deferring CPP, I get it, I've run the numbers, it does make sense to wait on my CPP, draw down my RSP, create more tax strategy. But my main concern is what happens if my spouse or partner passes away before they start CPP. Hopefully this video and actually showing you the data behind everything will really help you out. And again, go through this task with your financial planner. If you need help with this, reach out to our office. We do offer fee-for-service planning. We'd love to help you out. You can learn more at parallelwealth.com/planning with regards to our services. Again, as you enter retirement, we want to make sure that you have all the answers on the table. You have a clear plan, you know how much income, you know when you can retire, you know where your income comes from, you know how to reduce your tax bill. And again, the little nuanced things like this, well, yeah, I get it, Adam, we should delay till 70. But what happens if John passes away at 67? Am I gonna be okay? These are things that you should run out with your financial planner if they're keeping you up at night. So again, everyone's situation is a little bit different. The final answer might be a little bit different, but the process needs to be the same. And that's putting it into software, running the scenarios to see what's best for you. So hopefully this helps you kind of ease your pain or ease your concerns around the Canadian pension plan, timing of it, early death, all of that. I know the Canadian pension plan is by far the #1 talked about issue or income or attribute as you enter into retirement. And it's really important to understand these nuances of it and how they work for you and your specific numbers. So again, get a good plan in place, bring that peace of mind for retirement so that you can enjoy retirement because you've worked really hard to get there.